The challenging art of transporting convicts is faced not only on a national scale by Con Air, but also on a much smaller level, within the walls of America's penitentiaries. Nowhere is this challenge more daunting, perhaps, than at the Pelican Bay State Prison in California. A 275-acre facility located near the Oregon border, Pelican Bay is designed to isolate nearly 4,000 of the state's most violent inmates.
Pelican Bay State Prison is referred to as housing the worst of the worst.
In order to transport such volatile convicts between various facilities over the far-flung prison compound, corrections officers here rely on uniquely designed equipment and well-rehearsed procedures. To move the dozens of inmates each day required to go to Pelican Bay's medical clinics, guards use a special lockdown bus, a mobile prison inside the walls.
Maximum 10 inmates on the bus at one time to take them to the clinic or to return them back. Little cages here to prevent them from spitting or spearing or anything such.
The bus is checked frequently to make sure no contraband has been stashed and that nothing has been removed which may be fashioned into a weapon. Security is further enhanced by the lack of any centralized bus stop where convicts could gather and come into conflict with each other or with guards. Service is door to door. Lieutenant Ben Grundy has been with Pelican Bay since its inception in 1991.
Security is very high at this prison. You'll notice when you go in and come out, you have to go through a number of checks, number of what we call sally port, double gates, and numerous doors that are electronically operated.
Even when convicts are moved simply on foot, they are subjected to the tightest possible security standards. Inmates are searched for weapons each time they move outside their cell block. Some go to extreme measures to move weapons and contraband.
We want the inmate to take off his clothes so we can check all his body orifices, look in his mouth, look in his ears. We have them stand there, they bend down so we can see between their legs, and they spread their buttocks so that we can make sure that they don't have anything secreted. Another officer will take a handheld metal detector. We'll have the inmate bend over at the waist, and he'll wand his backside because they usually try to secrete something. Basically, they're placing weapons in their buttocks and in their rectal cavity.
Inmates manufacture weapons out of any piece of material they can get their hands on.
They're masters at hiding weapons. Some of them probably do have weapons, and we miss that. But that's just the nature of the game,
As tightly guarded as these prisoners are on the so-called main line, Pelican Bay boasts a facility that is even more restrictive. The Secure Housing Unit, or the SHU, is essentially a prison within a prison.
The purpose of the Security Housing Unit is to remove the inmates that are causing problems or committing felonies from the general population. They have demonstrated that they can't function in that environment without acting out or causing people around them harm or attempting to prey on them. So they're removed from the general population and they're locked up.
Here, prisoners are locked in their cells 23 hours a day. Everything they need to serve their sentence is contained here. There is no out of doors.
Inside of the Security Housing Unit, or the SHU, inmates are escorted everywhere they go.
Everywhere these predatory offenders move within the SHU, they are always under the watchful eye of an armed guard on a catwalk above. Anticipating violent outbursts, the guards protect themselves with armored vests designed to repel knife attacks.
Due to the level of these inmates and their violence, there's always a possibility to be stabbed or speared or attacked in a security housing unit. All officers are mandated to wear the vest.
When an inmate is escorted in the shoe, he is never allowed to precede a correctional officer through a doorway. To prevent contact between inmates, the officer will always make sure the area is clear before proceeding with his prisoner. Prisoners are strip searched every time they leave their cells. A transport to the library within the shoe requires yet another extreme security precaution.
They'll be hooked together. With the chain that hooks them together, we can use less staff to move more inmates. We have to give the inmates access to all the legal materials so they can file their cases. They review the books there, turn the books back in, and then they return to their cells.
Allowed only 30 minutes inside the library, convicts are strip searched yet again before they are returned.
They're allowed to bring back 3 sheets of paper with the information they needed, and that's all they're allowed to bring back. The inmates are moved by a unit so that they can't pass information on from unit to unit to unit. It's just our attempt to try to keep down the gang information flow. We do it as good as we can. We know it still gets around.
Even prisoners in the shoe are sometimes required to be moved outside Pelican Bay's secure walls for court appearances or medical appointments. As level 4 inmates, the highest security risks, they are then subjected to an even greater security measure.
Even within the institution, they have to be escorted. But when they leave the institution, it's a whole another matter. The vehicle that they're in effect, becomes a prison on wheels. And we do not have the luxury of the fence as a perimeter, nor do we have the prison walls. It's not business as usual. It's very serious, and they're still dealing with a level 4 convicted felon that they need to get back inside of the walls.
Pelican Bay is probably one of the most secure prisons in the state of California. Really, the only time anybody would have a chance of breaking somebody out is when we're out on one of these transports.
The prison convoy is inspected exhaustively inside the sally port, a double-gated checkpoint where everything going in or out of the prison must first be authorized. Here, officers are issued weapons for their venture outside the walls.
Anytime you take out a level 4, it's 1 sergeant, 3 officers, and everybody's armed. We don't give them any prior notice. That way, there's less chance of them being able to notify anybody on the outside that they're out, and less chance of an escape attempt.
On this day, the transportation team is moving inmates to a local hospital for appointments with heart specialists. To minimize the chance of an ambush by a convict's accomplices lying in wait along the road, officers vary their route daily, avoiding predictability.
Anything can go wrong when you're outside of the walls. You have to be careful about what could be a staged event. You could have a cuff key inside of a body cavity and try to take off its restraints.
Throughout their venture outside the walls, inmates are never out of a correctional officer's sight.
The unarmed officer actually has hands on the inmate. The armed officer just follows at a safe distance to provide gun coverage in case the inmate tries something.
The Pelican Bay transportation officers have mastered the art of moving society's most dangerous criminals, just like their counterparts aboard Con Air.